1969, after the SWAPO Tanga Consultative Congress in Tanzania adopted a new constitution in 1971. The Youth League protested at major colleges and schools and participated at the general strike of the 1971 and 1972, a major turning point in the Namibian fight for independence. Now, the SPYL has always been a key part of the mother body SWAPO. We now have, and as we know, we have lost the founding father and the founder of the SWAPO party. Continuing with more discussions this afternoon, I'm now joined by Mr. Ephraim Nekongo, who is the Secretary General of the SPYL. Sir, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon and welcome, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to start by asking you, of course, how you relate to the founding president. You seem quite young, so I'm assuming you were much younger at the time when, of course, Namibia came into independence and he became the first president of the country.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I was very young at that time, maybe 5 to maybe 6 years. But I remember very well gluing ourselves to a TV, black and white by then, looking at what was unfolding at the Independence Stadium when the South African flag was lowered and the Namibian flag hoisted high, and remembering the founding father with the white beard that we all admired by then, as young as we are. And I think we, at a time as young as I was, we also have seen many propaganda by then of Nujoma this, Nujoma eating the grass and all these things. So as young as I was glued to understand what was going on at that time. So I think that will be the first time that I know there was Sam Nujoma, and indeed by then we were told is our liberator. So that's how I relate to the founding president.
Of course, these conversations that we're having in remembrance of him sort of brings back memories that perhaps we've also forgotten about, but also reiterates the important role that he played, in Namibia's road to independence. Would you say that, the young people of today, the youth, really grasp the essence of what independence is?
Well, I could say yes. And I think as young people, we were the luckiest one, especially to be born after, independence. Many of young people do not know what was happening then, but they only happen to know the existence of our country after the country is freed from the oppressions. And I think some, luckily, they knew through history because they have studied about what was happening, and some are interested into politics, and hence they know some. But some might be a little bit ignorant, not really understanding where we are coming from. At one point, I was speaking to a young person, and he said, "Look, we have suffered." And I said, "Yeah, but maybe let's look at it differently." I said, a little bit, not insulted, but I said, just before you were not born, government has started taking care of you. Unlike before, you can't even have a Panado, or you can't even have, when pregnant mother, you have to go to, through the checkup every now and then.
Yeah.
So this is through the leadership of Comrade Nujoma that the country gained independence, and we enjoy all this. But yes, sometimes we don't see this, but I must say the founding father and other founding fathers have really done a good work to liberate our country. And thereafter, they started taking care of the aspect of developing our country under different circumstances, you know. And I remember very well that the founding father has really done his part, especially just from the bush, with many others from the bush, and there you have to put up the administrative of government. It's not an easy thing as people think. 15 years down with him, typically Nujoma from the bush, putting up state machineries to ensure that here we are, speaking good English on NBC.
You know, there's so much emphasis that's put on saying the youth are the future. You know, the youth, this generation is the one who will become the future leaders of this country, etc. And it's not only a Namibian thing. I think globally, that's just what's said. There's so much emphasis put on the potential that young people hold for the future. But nowadays, we see, you know, young people, including some who might even be a part of the SPYL, not really following in the footsteps of the freedom fighters of this country, specifically now in the Namibian context. And by that I mean, you know, in terms of showing resilience, etc. We see them being tribalistic, materialistic, etc. So I want to know, do you really think that you know, the young people of today are able to carry forward the spirit and legacy of a man who laid, you know, down so much to see this country come to independence?
Maybe before then I come to that, let me talk about Nujoma and the youth. I think, as I said, from the bush, I don't talk much after that because I was not there. But what I have known and what I have seen is that he has been carrying the young people. And he's a president who believes much in the young people by then. And he grew many of them. And many of them came and set up the administrative of government, if I have to put it that way, because many centers that were set up, and I always talk about that, I think that idea of assisting technocrats to come up with understanding of how to run institutions is very important. Like the one that was in Zambia, that was under the leadership of Dr. Nekongo. We tend to forget about those, but Nujoma has shaped those young people to say, when the time comes, we'll have people that can able to put up the institution. And I think that's where I want to relate to say he has been caring with young people through the leadership of SWAPO Party Youth League. Many leaders from the SWAPO Youth League has emerged and become leaders. People like Sarah Kugongero Amadira, Dr. Abraham Yambo, and many of them that have been at that time. And since then, even the SWAPO Party then have taken that approach to always inject new blood in the leadership, be it in the government, be it in many spheres. But I would want to say, yes, young people are ready. It's just that perhaps the circumstances are different. And sometimes maybe you don't see it as liberations, but when you look at nowadays, as we speak, many of the institutions are in the hand of young people. And that is just basically said we have educated. Nujoma will always say, make sure that every Namibian child go to school.
That's right.
Why? Why is because so that the future of the country is guaranteed. And I think that's one thing, the legacy that we'll take from him. He has been with young people and he has been advocating every speech that he will speak. Even at a platform where you feel it's not applicable, he'll stand up and say, make sure that the Namibian child from kindergarten to the university. So, and that is the legacy, I think, as leaders we must able to take and make sure that every Namibian must be educated. Why? Is because once you educate all this, and you remember, he was just speaking from the bush where they are coming from to say, we liberated the country, but after we liberated, how do we liberate the country further in terms of economical of our country? He mean, if you educate a young person, that means that we'll talk about food security for our country, we'll talk about, we'll always talk about minerals that we have, for example, so that we can able to add value to the minerals, so that we don't just complain. He always speak about removing the stupidity covenant, through education. And once we do that, then that means that we can able to see.
Yeah.
And once we can able to see, we can able then to develop our country.
Yeah. Well, what other lessons, Ephraim, does the SPYL keep with them that they've learned from the founding president?
First is resilience for us. Nujoma went to a certain extent of making sure that things are done. One thing that I remember as young as I am is the issue of the railway. He have been having this dream to say, we want to have a railway extended to the Angolan border, and he has speak about to build a Cape Frio hub. And he go to an extent, despite that the railway construction was given to people to construct, he have removed all of us from our comfort zone and said, let's go and build the railway. I remember very well those years we were so excited to go and meet the founding father at the railway, and he will be there and will be all of us there, institutions, and that shows that he have been a man of, hard work, not only necessarily an office-bound person. He would want to make sure that the railway have reached where. So now, as we speak, the railway have reached Chicago, extending to Oshakati, thanks to Nujoma. If he couldn't make us to work and work hard, it couldn't be there. So nowadays, you ask yourself, like the previous speaker was speaking about water he world. I remember very well at Omagogo Festival in Nukwaluni, having a platform, the two of them with the President Pohamba, and I was just listening how they were whispering it to each other, and Nujoma say, I'm worried. And I didn't understand. He was like, I'm worried because every morning I wake up, I see some reddish, It's an indication that one day our river will dry up. So I will still encourage that we must develop and desalinate the water. So I was there, small as I am, but yes, as secretary of the Youth League, listening. And later I introspected and I said, I think Comrade Nujoma have an idea, and he have been speaking about this.
Yeah.
Now that here we are, Comrade Nujoma is no more. I think it's high time that we must talk about necessary, perhaps not to talk about desalination, but because he was thinking about the desalination, but I think it's time has come for us then to think about the water security for our country, and then we can able then to ensure that his legacy is come to fruition.
How do you envision the SWAPO party to be like now, in the absence of founding President Nujoma? Of course, we know that he wasn't active within the party for many, many years, but still, such a presence that has left the nation and left the party now. How do you envision the future?
Well, the gap that Comrade Nujoma will leave, it will never be filled. That's the truth of it. However, his legacy that he will leave, especially, he will always speak about unity. He will always speak that if you are not united, there's no way that you achieve anything.
Yeah.
For the SWAPO party and the leadership of SWAPO party, that should be a wisdom that we must take from him, to say we must at all material time unite for a common good, as he always said, so that we are all prosperous at the end of the day with what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's the legacy that we'll miss from Comrade Nujoma, and the bravery that is in him. I think that's what we'll miss in SWAPO, but we strongly believe that with that legacy, we'll always step on, and it will ignite us to continue the fight, especially for prosperity of his Namibia that he dreamed of.
Your final remarks, Ephraim, before we release you?
Well, here we are. The dark cloud is engulfing us all as Namibian. I was listening through the platform of government update, and I was looking and listening there and say, how are we really understanding mourning? And somebody asked questions. I was finding it difficult really to say, mourning is mourning. all of us as Namibian, we know if your neighbor has something, I can't stand up and start, celebrating and put up music
Right.
and whatever. That's basically mourning.
That's correct.
So therefore, as a country, we are mourning our father. Is a father of the Namibian people, and yes, a leader of our revolution. I just want to send condolences to all of us. First to the immediate family, Comrade Kovambo and Utoni and the children. That yes, the loss of the founding father is not only for the Nuyomas, but it's for all of us as Namibians, and all of us must find strength as we cross this darkest moment of our country, and yes, the darkest moment of our revolution, and for the SWAPO party to continue honoring his legacy.
Mr. Ephraim Nekongo, we appreciate your time and thank you so much for joining us and sharing your sentiments with us.
You're welcome, and thank you, Otto.
Thank you. That was the Secretary of the SWAPO Party Youth League speaking to us. Then, of course, before we engaged him, we did have the media briefing with the Government Information Center, as I mentioned earlier.